Welcome to Climb Stories, where every struggle becomes a summit, and every failure is just another step toward greatness. Some stories begin with privilege, connections, or a head start in life, but this one doesn't. This story begins with a woman, a $5,000 savings account, and a simple, uncomfortable truth: that pantyhose were never designed by someone who actually wore them. This is the climb of Sara Blakely, a door-to-door fax machine saleswoman who turned frustration into innovation and an idea into a billion-dollar fashion empire. She didn't have investors, designers, or a degree in business. What she had was determination, humor, and the courage to believe that one small idea could reshape an entire industry. They told her she was crazy. They ignored her calls. They shut their doors. But Sara kept going, because deep down, she knew that sometimes the best ideas are the ones the world laughs at first. Today, on Climb Stories, we take you through the extraordinary rise of the world's youngest self-made female billionaire, from failure and rejection to global success. Because every great climb starts with one small, determined step. Sara Blakely was born in Clearwater, Florida, in 1971. She wasn't raised among wealth or luxury. Her father was a trial attorney and her mother was an artist. But her parents gave her something far more valuable than money: the freedom to fail. Every night at the dinner table, her father would ask, "Sara, what did you fail at today?" And if she didn't have an answer, he'd be disappointed. Because in their home, failure wasn't something to fear. It was proof that you were trying. That mindset shaped her. While other kids were afraid of mistakes, Sara learned to chase them. After high school, she dreamed of becoming a lawyer like her dad, but she failed the LSAT. Not once, but twice. The dream ended before it began. She tried stand-up comedy next, but that too fizzled out. At 22, she was lost, uncertain, and selling fax machines door-to-door for a small company in Florida. It wasn't glamorous. 100 doors a day, most slammed in her face. She wore pantyhose under her pants in the humid Florida heat, and she hated them. They rolled up, dug in, and looked awkward. But one day, as she got ready for a party, she had a spark of an idea. She wanted the smooth look pantyhose gave her legs, without the visible toes or seams. So she took a pair of scissors and cut off the feet. That's where it started. Not in a boardroom, not in a lab, but in a small apartment, with one woman, a pair of scissors, and an idea that would change everything. Sara had saved $5,000 from her fax machine sales job, her entire life savings, and she decided to invest every penny into this wild, untested idea. She began researching fabrics, sewing techniques, and garment patents. But she had no fashion experience, no industry contacts, and no one who took her seriously. Factories ignored her calls. When she introduced herself, they hung up. The men who ran the hosiery industry didn't understand why a woman wanted to reinvent pantyhose. For 2 years, she kept trying. Finally, one factory owner in North Carolina changed everything. His daughters convinced him to give her a chance. Sara sent her hand-drawn prototype and got her first sample. But when it arrived, it wasn't right. The fabric was too thick, the seams too visible. Sara refused to settle. She drove to the factory herself, worked alongside the seamstresses, and adjusted every detail until it fit just right. She didn't have money for a marketing team or fancy packaging, so she designed her own logo using Microsoft Word and bought a red box because she wanted it to pop on the shelves. She spent months perfecting the design, testing the product on herself, and writing her own patent using a Patent for Dummies book. This wasn't a businesswoman with a team. This was one determined woman doing everything on her own. Sara now had a product, but no customers. She began visiting department stores, pitching to anyone who would listen. Most ignored her, but at Neiman Marcus, she managed to convince a buyer to give her 5 minutes. When the buyer didn't seem interested, Sara made a bold move. She said, "Come with me to the bathroom." There, she showed the difference her product made. One leg with her invention, one without. The buyer was stunned. Neiman Marcus agreed to test Spanx in 7 stores. From that moment, everything began to change. Sarah personally handled every detail. She wrote press releases, packed boxes, and sent handwritten thank you notes to customers. She even called Oprah Winfrey's team to pitch her product. And, unbelievably, it worked. In 2000, Spanx was featured on The Oprah Winfrey Show as one of Oprah's favorite things. Overnight, orders flooded in. Sarah sold out almost immediately. Her apartment turned into a warehouse, filled with boxes and tape. She had no advertising budget, no team, just word of mouth and pure enthusiasm. But Spanx spread like wildfire because women loved it. It wasn't just underwear, it was confidence. Within a year, Spanx was in every major department store in America. Sarah had turned $5,000 into millions, and she still owned 100% of the company. As Spanx grew, Sarah faced a new challenge: keeping the company true to its mission. She didn't want to be just another corporate brand. She wanted Spanx to empower women, to make them feel strong, comfortable, and unstoppable. She hired mostly women, created a supportive company culture, and focused on authenticity. Spanx expanded beyond shapewear into activewear, leggings, and men's lines. Sarah became a symbol of female entrepreneurship, not just because she succeeded, but because she stayed real. She openly shared stories of rejection, fear, and failure. She talked about crying in her car after hard days, about being laughed at in meetings, and about believing in herself when nobody else did. In 2012, Forbes named her the youngest self-made female billionaire in the world. But even with all the fame, she kept her feet on the ground. She said, "I didn't start Spanx to make billions. I started it to make women feel good about themselves." That's the beauty of Sarah's climb. It wasn't just financial success. It was purpose-driven success. Lessons from the climb. Sarah Blakely's story teaches us that the path to success is rarely straight. It's messy, unpredictable, and full of rejection. But the secret is to keep climbing. Here are 5 lessons from her journey. Use what you have. Sarah didn't wait for investors or experts. She started with scissors and savings. Embrace rejection. Every no taught her to refine her idea. Stay authentic. She built a brand that represented real people, not unrealistic perfection. Solve a problem. Her product wasn't about fashion. It was about comfort and confidence. Believe when no one else does. Her confidence turned disbelief into destiny. Sarah once said, "Failure is not trying." She believed that action, even imperfect action, is better than waiting for the perfect moment. She understood that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's doing it anyway. Let's discuss the legacy of a $5,000 dream today. Spanx is a global brand valued in the billions, worn by celebrities, professionals, and everyday women alike. Sarah has stepped back from day-to-day operations, but continues to inspire entrepreneurs around the world. She became one of the first self-made billionaires to sign the Giving Pledge, promising to give away half her wealth to charity. Her focus is on education, empowering women, and encouraging creative thinking, especially among young girls who are told their ideas are too small. From selling fax machines to building a fashion empire, Sarah Blakely showed the world that innovation doesn't need permission. It needs persistence. Her story reminds us that great ideas often begin in frustration, that you don't need millions to start, and that believing in yourself is the most powerful investment of all. From a one-bedroom apartment in Florida to the top of the Forbes list, Sarah Blakely's climb was anything but easy. But that's what makes it extraordinary. She didn't wait for luck. She created it. She didn't chase approval. She earned respect. And she didn't build just a company. She built confidence for millions. So, the next time you doubt your idea or think your dream is too small, remember this. Sarah started with scissors, savings, and a spark of belief. If she can turn a $5,000 idea into a billion-dollar empire, imagine what you can do with your own. Because every mountain, no matter how high, starts with a single step. And here on Climb Stories, we celebrate those who take that step. Those who dream, fail, rise, and climb again. If stories like this inspire you, If you believe your climb is still ahead, then subscribe to Climb Stories and join our community of dreamers, doers, and believers, because every story is a climb worth taking.